There's so much information or fog of war, and we're going to sift through all of that. But in the midst of this, it's very important to figure out and find out that one photograph that the Foreign Secretary put out in the press conference, that photograph has so many meanings. And if you could take us through that.
So that photograph is of, I think, the funeral function, if I may say, as a function, after India's strike on the headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammad on 7th of May. And the man dressed in white and also has a beard, appears to be a Maulavi or at least a religious teacher, is actually Hafiz Abdul Rauf. Is the brother of Jaish-e-Mohammad founder, Maulana Masood Azhar, and behind him are a group of Pakistani military officials, I think mostly army, and some coffins lined up, as we can see there, with Pakistani flags draping the coffins. Now, that happens when you give a state funeral to a general or a politician or a big dignitary who holds an important post like a prime minister or a minister. But here, this photograph and this man, Hafiz Abdul Rauf, is a sanctioned by the United States terrorist, and he's openly taking part in a funeral function or a funeral ritual after the Indian strike on that Jaish-e-Mohammad thing. So what India is essentially saying is, here in plain sight, he's there. And for years, for 30 years, India has been telling the world that these are the people who are being backed, sponsored, supported, funded by the Pakistani army. And what bigger proof you want than this? And yet you have not moved a finger to either arrest him or eliminate him. And when India does this, you have your double standards that saying that there's no proof, or we cannot reach that person, we cannot see it. He's right there. He's on visual, he's sort of on, I think, video on the photographs. And I think India has done well this time to not only that the Foreign Secretary said this in the briefing, Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri said this in the briefing on Thursday in Delhi, but I think India's High Commissioner in London,
yes,
Vikram Doraiswamy, another Foreign Service officer, appearing on Sky News program, actually pulled out the photograph from the envelope and showed it on that program on Sky News.
right.
And I think India is playing on the front foot this time, much different from earlier episodes of this conflict that happened between India and Pakistan. Because even Ambassador Vinay Mohan Quatra in US has appeared on Fox News as well as on CNN and refuted the propaganda that was being put out by Pakistan, which always had an upper hand so far. But this time I think India has got it right.
Right, and in fact, one of the things also, because of that photograph, the claim that Pakistan was making that civilians were targeted. That also, it flies in the face of what
Of course it does, because ultimately that headquarter of Jaish-e-Mohammad or Lashkar-e-Taiba at Murid-K and Bhawalpur have terrorists and their families. Now, by extension, these are terrorists because you are members of the terrorist organizations, and that's what India has said very clearly in its first press note, first interaction with the press, and subsequently what Vikram Misri and the other two lady military officers said in Delhi on Thursday, that India's strikes were precise, they were targeted at terrorist infrastructure, terrorist headquarters, and we avoided, or India avoided, hitting civilian, economic and military targets in Pakistan. And because it was non-escalatory in nature, the various strikes. So I think this time India has actually got its planning right, its execution right, and also in Western capitals, it is going on an offensive of using their own platforms like the Sky News or Fox or CNN to tell the world that Pakistan is harboring and letting the terrorists flourish in their own country under the very nose of the Pakistani military.
There's a lot of information overload and there's a lot of fog of war. So make sure you stay with us to get the right, accurate information and only verified information, because that's what we are focused on. So keep watching Strat News Global.